So welcome everyone to this week's edition of eoPERCS, and this is a very special seminar. So we have a group of early career scientists and technicians sailing on board Expedition 403. It's really cool, and they're somewhere out coming down from the north of the globe down to Amsterdam, I think. And they're going to be telling us all about life and science at sea. So a bit about the format of today's seminar, if you haven't been to one before or you haven't been for a little while. So we have some welcome announcements for around 5 minutes, followed by the session with the JR Early Career Scientists and Technicians, a moderated Q&A, and then the seminar will end. This won't have a tea time, sometimes we do. And don't forget to send all your questions in via the chat to the questions at eoPERCS host, who today is Liz. So a bit of housekeeping. So eoPERCS values the participation of everyone interested in paleosciences. Please remember to abide by our code of conduct during today's seminar. If you somehow found yourself here without having signed this, please take a moment to go to our website and review it. Remember to mute yourself for the duration of the talk. You couldn't be able to unmute yourself, but if you find that you can, then please remember not to, so that we can pay the next time for our speakers. You can ask questions by chatting to the questions host or by using the raise hand function. Any technical issues should also go to the questions host. We have closed captions built into our Zoom, and you can use the CC button to show or hide them. If you hide them for you, it will only hide them for your Zoom and not for everyone else. Remember to nominate all of your outstanding early friends and colleagues, and the nomination form will be in the chat very shortly. And we also have our weekly feedback form for demographic information. This is anonymous optional, but very much encouraged, and you'll be able to find that in the chat window shortly. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce today's speakers who are all sailing on board Expedition 403. So we have Daniel Rudback, who's a paleomagnetism specialist, Alba Gonzalez-Lanchas, who's a micropaleontologist, James Kowalski, who's a curation specialist, and Lindsey, the physical properties specialist. With that, I will hand over to them so they can tell you more about what they're up to.
Hello, so my name is Alba Gonzalez-Lanchas. I am a postdoc at the Department of Earth Sciences in the University of Oxford. About my background, I did my PhD in Spain in the University of Salamanca, working in the area of micropaleontology of calcareous nanofossils. By the end of my PhD, I shifted a bit into geochemistry of calcareous phytoplankton, working with the calcite produced by these organisms and also with the organic components. And after this, I moved to Oxford, where I work as a postdoc, and in my current project, I work with the geochemistry of calcareous nanofossils and also with image analysis and morphometrical analysis with microscopy, with different techniques of microscopy, mainly focused in trying to understand and reconstruct the calcification of this group during the past, and with this, the interaction with the environment, with the levels of CO2 in the ocean, the geochemical conditions, and yeah, that's a bit what I do. I'm happy to reply to questions.
Okay. Hi, my name is Lindsey Monito. I'm currently a PhD student at the University of Florida. I did my undergrad at James Madison in Virginia, and I did my master's degree at Oregon State University. I primarily study the paleomagnetic records of sediments and how they've recorded geomagnetic direction and intensity through time to try and align stratigraphy, and then also leveraging magnetic properties of sediments to reconstruct past environmental changes. During my master's, I worked with IODP sediments from Expedition 383 in the Southern Ocean. And for my PhD, currently I'm working on the West Greenland margin, and I'll probably continue work from the stuff we've gotten here.
Hello guys, my name is Daniel. I'm from Sweden, and I'm a marine technician here on board the JOIDES Resolution. I'm in charge of the Paleomagnetics laboratory. I did my bachelor and master's at Stockholm University in Sweden, focused on geochemistry / marine geology, and after that I got a job as a marine technician here with IODP. And on top of that, recently in January I started a PhD in Canada in paleomagnetics or oceanography. Yeah, I've been here This is my 5th expedition. So I've been here about 2 years. Yeah.
Hi guys, my name is James Kowalski, and I'm the shipboard curator for the expedition. I've been here for about 2 years now, and before that, I did my undergrad at the University of Utah, and then I went on to do my master's degree at the University of Florida. When I'm not here on the ship sailing, I work at the Gulf Coast Repository, which is the IOPP headquarters at the moment. And so I help with keeping the cores, keeping them cold, doing some sampling, and preparing for different expeditions.
So in this expedition, I sailed as a biostratigrapher of calcareous nanofossils. So basically what I did is to check all the materials that were drilled and analyze the content in calcareous nanofossils to give a precision as better as possible of the age of the materials. So to me, it's great. It's been a great experience to be here because all the research I've done in my career so far is with IODP, ODP sediments. So it's a great pleasure to be here and be able to be participating directly in this great experience. The life in the sea was very interesting, very intense, but I think I learned a lot, and it's super. I think it's important, this experience of put yourself into the exercise of being able to contribute in this type of huge projects, working with people from very different areas is very beneficial personally beneficial. So I think I enjoyed a lot, honestly. It was my first time sailing in the JR. I sailed before in one German vessel, but sailing in the JR was the first time for me, and it was a great pleasure to be here.
So I sailed as the physical property specialist. So at sea, I primarily helped with measuring hull rounds before we split them open to get things like magnetic susceptibility and bulk density, and then also helping once cores were split to take discrete samples to try and characterize moisture and density and parameters we can derive from that. This was my first time on the JR. It's been excellent for a lot of the reasons Alba said. It's been very collaborative and really exciting to learn from everyone. I've been to sea before on one of the US ships, the RV Armstrong last summer for the West Greenland margin, but it's been really great being on the JR and how much science actually happens at sea with all of the laboratories on board. It's been really
as a marine technician, my job is a bit different from the scientists. We mainly do manual work, like receiving the cores, cutting the cores, engraving them, splitting them, and also as since I'm also running the Paleomagnetics lab, I have to coordinate with the scientists to make sure that whatever they want, whatever scientific goals they have, that we can meet them and make sure the instruments are running properly. It's a lot of physical work, carrying around the core, boxing them, and it's my 5th time, as I said before. Prior to sailing on the JR, I've also been on a couple of different Swedish vessels, not for very long though, but 1 month on a Canadian icebreaker as well. And personally, I really enjoy life on the JR. It's really nice to meet all of the different people that come here. We get a new batch of scientists every expedition. So the social aspect is really nice, even though it can be quite strenuous after 2 months out here. But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's really great.
So as curator, I'm in charge of all the core that we recover, and I archive it into our system and document all the lengths that are cut on the catwalk, all the different samples that are taken, whether it be as a form of full rounds or from the working half. I'm also in charge of planning all the sampling before the expedition and working with scientists to make sure that their research goals are being met as the expedition starts and progresses. I also plan for post-cruise sampling, because for sediment expeditions that recover a lot of material, we have to have a post-cruise sample party that happens months afterwards. and this is so the scientists can get some material to work on for their post-cruise research.
So regarding the challenges that exist associated to the research we do, the approach sedimentary records, I think the biggest one is have the access to these materials. So I think it's a reason to appreciate a lot this type of projects and this type of activities. Is be able to extract this huge amount of sediments and be able to access to them. I think this is the very first big challenge. And then after that, we face a lot of challenges. For me, for example, it's quite important the preservation of materials, because sometimes I may want to be able to work with a certain coccolith or geochemical proxy record in sediment, but sometimes preservation is not playing in my favor. So I think to overcome this is very important the multi-data, multi-proxy, multidisciplinary approach that help us a lot to select the materials that we need to approach for our purposes, and for example to discriminate areas of forced preservation. So basically I think that the most important is to keep the multidisciplinary approach, in my opinion.
Speaking to challenges at sea, I think that being flexible is really critical, because you might come in with certain research plans and expect, the plan is to recover this interval, this age, this much material using these techniques, but a lot of times things don't always go to plan. And so I think being flexible and also learning from the people around you for how to maybe reshape your research and asking questions is really important, because you come in with grand plans, but things always change.
So as a paleomagnetics technician, I guess I can kind of give the PMAG viewpoint. I think that choosing between high quality, like we need to extract certain information about the ages specifically while on board to know how deep we've drilled in time. But to do that, we demagnetize the sediments, which is a destructive sort of measurement, because you can't go back to the pristine magnetic signal after you demagnetize them. So, but once we take those measurements, it's done. Like, we cannot go back. And the problem with that is that we're on a moving ship that's not magnetically shielded, and the quality of the data will not be as good as we could extract on land. So there is the challenge of choosing between what measurements you take where, because we need to make measurements on board, but they won't be as good. And yeah, it's a balance.
I guess I'll touch more on the flexibility aspect of it all. It's really fast paced out here. Each expedition is completely different based off of how many holes and sites we are trying to drill, where we are drilling. Like this recent expedition, we're up in the Arctic, and so the sediments are really, really cold. And when we recover core, sometimes the liners that we pull up the sediment in, they can shatter, and we need to repair them on the catwalking, so it can be kind of chaotic. And so you kind of just always have to be flexible with the situation at hand. Things can change in minutes. Sometimes you wake up the next day and you're at a different hole. You're on the way to a different site. And for curation, it's really hard to keep up with all that. You just have to be flexible with sampling plans and what's happening next. And so flexibility is one of the biggest things I would like to preach. The best advice for sailing.
So I think that my favorite part of this expedition, in practical, simple terms, it's been the region in which we've been. And because we are above the polar cycle, we had 24 hours sun. And that was something that I really enjoyed a lot. The fact of finish my walk and know that I was able to enjoy the sun for some hours before going to bed was something amazing that gave me a lot of energy and made the experience very good. This is something practical. And then in a more philosophical way, well, I really enjoyed the experience because I think I was that was a dream for me somehow to be here and be part of this this program. So that was amazing. And then the people I met, the scientists, the perspectives of collaboration, the match. I learned a lot from the people here and also from the technicians. It's amazing to have this group of people here, and the work with the technicians has been super pleasure and made the things super easy. So I think the people regarding scientists, technicians have been something very good to me.
Yeah, I think speaking to the best part, my favorite part of the expedition would be something similar. All of the people, learning from everyone, and the working 12 hours a day for 2 months straight is a lot, but you get to just do science all day with like everyone who's also really excited about it. And so I just think everyone's like, commitment to doing a good job and asking good questions and working together has been really awesome. And just the opportunity to learn so much and to learn from such a wide range of expertise has been really great.
So I think for me, this expedition is quite different from previous expeditions because it's the last expedition, and being together with your friends and like the technicians. We always work with the same technicians together, and when you're a technician, you spend half of your time on the ship. So every year we spend 6 months on the ship working with very close colleagues, 2 months straight together. So you become very good friends, and now all of a sudden we're gonna stop doing that after this. So in like maybe 3 days, I might never see some of the people that are closest to me again. And I think that's one thing that I'll always remember from this expedition. It's my colleagues. It's the last time we stayed together. So it's quite special.
I think I would have the same answer, but I'm not gonna talk about that because I think I'll choke up a bit. So I'm gonna say my most favorite part of the expedition was earlier when we just arrived at our first site, and you can see Svalbard. Usually when we're out on an expedition, at least the ones that I've been on, we're out in the open ocean, and it's kind of hard to realize like where you're actually at. Sure, there's water all around you, but in the context of where you are in the world, is sometimes hard. Sometimes you can base it on the temperature, sometimes not. But this is the first expedition for me where I was like, wow, there's the Svalbard mountains and glaciers. We're really up super high latitude, and so I really appreciated this location and being this high in the Arctic.
Yeah, so I think we're ready for questions.
Okay, so we've had some in. Thank you for explaining more about your experiences. It was really cool to hear more. So just a reminder to the audience, you can send in your questions to the questions at eoPERCS host directly. So our first question, which we will also paste in the chat so that you can follow along. So how do you communicate with other scientists / advisors who are not currently on a marine expedition? And does that communication influence your operations?
You communicate with scientists on land. And does it affect your research?
I can jump in and say that the connection has been pretty excellent, being at, like almost 80 degrees north, and we still have access to email. Sometimes things are a little slow, but we've had great connections and good contact with people on land. But I think also, any input from advisors doesn't necessarily dictate operations. Those are kind of like decisions happening at different levels. So we're kind of here to do our day-to-day, but not necessarily driving where we drill.
Yeah, it's good because we had very good infrastructure to communicate, and we were always in contact. But yeah, basically, I feel that here there is a huge bubble of what's going on here. So the science between the team was happening mostly here between the different multidisciplinary groups. That was, yeah.
So I think from an operations standpoint, we also have communications to shore. On some of the sites, we had some issues with gas, which we thought might be a potential hazard. And for these cases, we sent results from samples or analysis we made. We sent those results to a safety board on shore to get to review the data and get back to us whether it's safe or to continue drilling or not. So in that sort of regard, we also have have a connection to shore, which actually decides operation if we keep drilling or not.
Nice. So we had another question, which we'll also paste in the chat that hopefully you'll be able to see. So are you aware that you're living a historical moment? How are you planning to keep motivated after the expedition research-wise?
Are you aware that you're living in a historic moment?
Yeah, absolutely, all the time. It was something very, very important to be conscient all the time, but here that was something really, really historical. And yeah, like the mixture of the personal aim to be here, like working with these materials or all my career, it was something special for me as background, but then adding this extra element of this super important and historical expeditions, so it was something huge to me. Yeah, that made the experience absolutely amazing and something really important in our lives. I think we are in agreement there.
I think for me, it's more another day at work, sort of. Not really. I mean, every expedition is special, but I think the first time I was here, I felt more like, oh, this is a very unique thing. But you get used to it when you've done it a couple of times. I don't know if you agree, but
Yeah. Just like you said, every expedition is different. I guess for me, when I was in undergrad, I saw a presentation by a scientist at my university, and he detailed like his time on the JOIDES Resolution during an IODP expedition, and that presentation is like what got me into this career path and what is like why I'm here today. And so like it's really a privilege to be on this ship and to curate this expedition, because it's something that was kind of like a dream during my undergrad, and I'm living it. And it's a real bummer that the program is coming to an end, but you know, I don't think, you know, scientific drilling is really going anywhere. I know the community is really strong, and like you guys are the next generation, you guys watching this, so you know, speak up, let your voice be heard, and let's get a great new program going very soon.
Thanks, guys. Sorry, we had to have a swapping questioner over here. So excellent answers to those. Our next question is a little bit more specific about what's going on in terms of recovery. So asks, do sea surface conditions affect core quality and drilling processes? And have you run into getting nodules during the extraction of cores?
Should I go for this one? Okay, so at least speaking to sea surface conditions, I don't know if there's anything specific you're going for here, but if we're talking rough seas, like bad weather, that can definitely affect core quality, because there are systems to ensure the stability of the drill string, that the drill string is kept at a consistent height down there. But there's limits to these systems as well. And in very rough seas, not this expedition, but previous expeditions when we had really rough seas, we're forced to stop drilling because the drill crew cannot keep the bit at a consistent depth. So we cannot ensure recovery. Nodules, maybe it's... Oh, we can't speak on that.
Yeah, I think the nodule part is something that, you know, when an expedition is going on, the scientific participants have a 1-year moratorium on the data that is generated and what comes about, the specifics of the expedition. And so maybe we could answer that question after the moratorium is over.
Great. Anyone else want to add something, or shall we move to our next question? All right, next question is,
Move on.
so I think we're about to be at the 30-minute mark, which I think was when you guys needed to be done. So this is a fun question. It says, what wildlife have you seen on this expedition?
Oh, we saw some animals. We saw some whales, dolphins, I think as well. A lot of puffins. I think this is the highlight. Yes, but we saw quite a bit. Yeah, I was not very lucky, so maybe they have.
Yeah, I saw 2 whale tails, which was really cool, so, and lots of puffins. There's a big window right by the Eastern-Fram station with the scanners, so you can see all the puffins like flying by every day.
Maybe what's like the coolest thing you guys have seen at sea? Maybe not on this expedition.
I think the
Just in general.
yeah, in general, what I've seen at sea, the coolest thing is probably a polar bear. That wasn't even on the JOIDES Resolution. That was the icebreaker. But polar bear is pretty high up there. Yeah.
I think the coolest thing that I saw was on Expedition 395. So last summer in 2023, we had to get some supplies, some critical supplies dropped off. And they did that by sending the Icelandic Coast Guard out to the ship. And they arrived one day when the seas were really rough, and they tried to get close to make the transfer of supplies, but they couldn't do it because of the weather, and they backed off. And then the next day they came back out of the fog, just like a movie, and they were able to get us our supplies, and it was like an incredible experience. Just like sometimes, like because we're out at sea doing work all the time, like a day like that is, you know, like a big event. And so I think that's one of the coolest things that I've seen.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. So is there anything else that you guys would like to share with us? And by us, I mean the next generation of scientists who we hope to convince that ocean drilling is super important and needs to continue. Famous last words, lessons learned, all of those things.
Let's keep drilling.
Yeah, I think this is the basic. Yeah, that this is super important. That we need to keep the contact with the drilling and exploration of new areas or areas that are already explored, but we need to retrieve more materials from there, from places that we know that are key archives to do research in paleoclimate or other disciplines. So this is very important, and the collaboration between people of different disciplines.
All right. I think we might be at the end. So I wanted to thank all of you for your time and energy given to this particular outreach opportunity. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your experiences on board the JR. We know you have all sorts of things that you have to be doing. I think it's writing time right now, right? Lots and lots of writing. So we should let you get back to that. But we did want to say thank you again so much for sharing. And unless we are heading off on a ship tour, which I don't think we are, I think it's time to close out the formal part of the eoPERCS seminar. Does that sound right to everybody? I think it does. Excellent. So I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today and remind you that this interval of eoPERCS, which is Northern Hemisphere summer, we heard about your 24 hours of light, we're on a little bit of a hiatus. We were so glad to be able to pop in and join the JOIDES for this last ship to shore adventure. And we will hopefully see some or all of you back here on August 27th, when we'll be beginning the end of 2024 set of talks with Pedro Godoy giving a talk on probably fossil crocodiles. So we hope that you have a great rest of your July and August. We wish all of you on the JR fair winds and all of those good things. And hopefully we'll see you all in a future seminar. So thank you everybody for joining us.